Good morning, Year 4. This is my hints and tips video for the lesson today. What is a fraction? And just have a coincidental look at the date, because this is one of the few dates in the year that is going to read the same forwards as backwards, and we call this a palindrome. Okay, so you can impress people with the fact that you know that today. So I've written a fraction on my board, and this actually is my favourite fraction. It's the one that I use all the time to talk to children about how fractions work. Okay, and the part that I'm actually most interested in is the part that is at the bottom, and this part is called the denom in a tour. Okay, and this tells you how many parts in the whole. Okay, so this is the number of parts in the whole. And above the denominator, this is the numerator, and this tells you how many parts you have. So I'm going to show you some different representations of the fraction 3/5. So we will always know that there are 5 parts, and there must be 5 equal parts in the whole, because that's what the denominator tells us. And we know that there are 3 of them. So I'm going to show you some different representations of 3/5. So if we look at our first model, it has been divided into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 equal parts. So that's our denominator. And we've got 1, 2, 3 of those parts. 3 of the 5 have been coloured in black. And then in our second model, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 counters, and 1, 2, 3 of them are white. So 3/5 are white. And here I've drawn a number line going up in fifths. So this is 0, and this represents 1 whole. So if I was going up in fifths, this would be 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, 5/5. Okay, which is the same as having a whole one. And my 3/5 is there. And my last model shows you a bar model where each bar is the same value. So this is the whole, 1 whole, which can be written as 1 over 1, because there is 1 part in this bar. Remember, the denominator tells you how many parts in the whole, and the numerator tells you how many parts you have. and then we're looking at 3/5. So the next bar has to be divided into 5 equal parts, and the numerator tells you you have 3 of them. So we would be looking at that value for 3/5. So when we're looking at our questions today, question 1 says, what fraction of each shape is shaded? You need to count the number of parts in each shape. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you know that it's the whole shape has 5 equal parts, and then you need to identify the amount that is shaded. Okay, so this would be 1/5. And for number 2, you're going to shade each diagram to represent the fractions shown. And for number 3, it says circle the unit fractions. Well, unit fractions have a numerator which is the same as or equal to 1. Okay, so remember our numerator was at the top of the fraction, and our denominator can be any number down here. So I'll just put 9 as the denominator, 1/9. As long as it has a numerator which is 1, it is a unit fraction. And I think we should be okay for number 4. Alright, just remember that something is only divided into thirds if it is in 3 equal parts. And here question number 5 says, draw an arrow to show the position of the fraction on the number line. So here we have 1/4, and we can see our number line is divided into 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts. So we could think of that as being a part of a quarter. And then if I was coming, this would be 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, which is also the same as 1/2. And we need to show an arrow that would be 1/4. Here's my favourite fraction, 3/5. And here for part C, if you're not sure, because they've told you a fraction of a half, but they've divided it into 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts. But we know that our denominator tells us that there are 2 equal parts. So what I've done is drawn a line above, and I'm now going to divide this section just into 2 equal parts. Okay, so you can see that we would have half the amount. And with D, pretty much the same thing again. Okay, so I've drawn a little line on the top of the number line because it makes it into a bit more of a bar model. And we know we need to find 1 actually divided into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 equal parts. Okay, so from those 6 equal parts, I'm going to make it into thirds. So I'm dividing this part into thirds, and we know that we have 1 out of the 3. So if I'm drawing my arrow, my third would be here. Okay, it comes to do with understanding. The denominator shows you how many parts you have in the whole. Alright, we're going to do a lot of work over this with this in the next few days. And then we have draw an arrow to show the position of 5/5 on the number line. So here we go, 0, and here's the whole one. So our line is divided into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 equal parts. So if I put out of fifths, because they're all out of fifths, this first part would be 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, 5/5. Okay, so you should be able to draw your line, and then you should be able to hopefully explain that you notice if the numerator and the denominator are the same, that means you've got the whole there. So the next one says draw 4 different representations of 3/4. So giving you some kind of models that you can build from. So each of my models is divided into 4 equal parts. Here's the bar model 1 with the hole at the top, and 4 equal parts, 4 equal parts, 4 equal parts. The denominator tells us how many parts the whole is divided into. Okay, how many parts in the whole? Here there are 4 counters and 4 triangles, and the numerator tells you how many parts that you have. So you would need to shade 3, okay, to show that it's 3 of the 4 that are shaded in. And I'm going to let you work through the last question. Okay, so work hard, have fun, and I look forward to seeing some of your work later.